Deputy Secretary General, members of the Fourth Estate, and my colleagues. It is usually a great joy for us in the FDC to address you, the nation of Uganda, on issues pertaining to public interest. Today's press conference is going to be premised on three major items. The first being the plight of Ugandans based on the tax regime in this country today. The second will be to address points of clarification that I'm sure the country will be interested in as far as the confusion that ensued in a village called Koloin in Ngora district during the burial of our colleague, the late Sir Eperu Tino. And the third matter will be a comment on what our friends from Katonga want to call an FDC national consultation. The FDC is concerned about the plight of traders and businessmen and women who are operating in a very harsh environment which has forced many businesses to collapse. As citizens may know, the Uganda Revenue Authority developed an electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing system, in short, EFIRS, for invoicing and VAT reporting of commercial transactions. As per Section 73A and B of the Tax Procedures Code Act 2014, supporting the implementation of the EFRIS. URA launched a system in January, precisely 1st, 2021. All companies registered were directed to use the EFRIS platform to report electronically issued invoices and cash receipts to the URA. Under this system, organizations and companies operating in Ugandan market must submit their electronic sale invoices to the URA, and the URA must approve the invoices before the company can transmit it to its client. According to URA, the implementation of the EFRS system aims to tackle tax evasion and fraudulent practice of false invoice for fake purchases. Whereas this could be understood, the FDC stands with the traders and businessmen in protesting the enforcement of the URA new system. We believe that it was hurriedly enforced without sensitization of stakeholders for them to appreciate it. Also, the lack of requisite infrastructure to use the system means traders are not fully aware of its significance specific businesses required to enroll, the variety of taxes due, and the potential opportunities that lie ahead. This has led to traders' frustration with the EFRIS system, greatly affecting their businesses. We as a party have established that this system exposes traders to a heavier tax burden, including previously hidden taxes like withholding tax, income tax, and VAT. Clear records show that over 200,000 people are closing their businesses due to the new system, resulting in a shortfall in tax collection every day. We believe the majority of businesses operating in Uganda are under informal arrangements. The financial burden imposed by this new system on small businesses only serves to kill these enterprises and therefore kill the livelihood of people who rely on business. In fact, the URA tactics of enforcement and penalties for non-compliance hinder widespread adoption of the system. URA's current enforcement approach, as well as the high penalties of 6 million Uganda shillings per receipt for failure to use the system, greatly discourages the adoption of the technology. However, there are deeper grievances from our assessment fueling protests beyond the initial discontent with that new system. The FDC supports the traders' protest in the form of sit-down strikes, lockdowns, ongoing to put pressure on government to address the traders' plight. This plight includes not only the implementation of the EFRIS by Revenue Authority, but also the following. Number one, the current 18% VAT rate imposed on each trader as goods move to the next trader or business amounts to double taxation and limits competitiveness in the region, especially compared to Kenya, whose VAT is 16%. We as a party are therefore calling on the regime to match the level of VAT taxation with our neighboring country. Additional grievances include elevated import duty rates on textiles and garments, with import duty standing at 3.0 and 3.5% per kilogram, respectively, increasing the cost of doing business and encouraging smuggling, resulting in numerous undeclared containers at URA facilities. The FDC calls for a reduction of these duties back to where they were at 25%. Amidst these economic pressures, local traders shouldn't be subjected to non-standardized URA evaluation guidelines for imported and exported goods, hindering effective business planning and placing traders at a disadvantage compared to their regional counterparts or competitors. Number 4, further compounding the issue is the alleged unprofessional conduct of the taxman's enforcement officers and the high interest rate imposed on local businesses ranging from 17 to 36%, contrasting sharply with the more favorable conditions afforded to foreign competitors, particularly Chinese firms who benefit from lower credit rates and an additional business incentives. It looks to us in the FDC that the government in power today prefers to give better conditions to foreigners and have totally forgotten the plight of their citizens. The NRM has chosen to favor Chinese and Indians at the expense of struggling Ugandan business personalities. And just to let the country know, taxation is not only limited to business enterprises. The new proposals also touch the very core of our economic activities as a country. We all know that nearly 80% of the citizens of Uganda are employed in agricultural activities. That is the backbone of our economy. This backbone of the economy hasn't been spared taxation. Horse and agricultural inputs, in our view, should be zero rated so that the manufacturers or importers can claim import VAT. Exemptions of agricultural inputs means input VAT cannot be claimed and hence is transferred to the poor farmer, and this causes an increased pricing for goods. This is very dangerous, and the government of Uganda should not trade in this area because they would be killing the very core of our economy. It is our view that what is causing this tendency of increasing the tax burden on Ugandans is mainly because, number one, we have engaged in wasteful expenditure. This wasteful expenditure being accrued by the servicing of a opulent lifestyle of our political class. And bourgeoisies who are living off the blood of the bleeding people of this nation. The second area is wasteful expenditure. And you have heard about this project in Lubowa, whose foundation and the hoarding is the mabati around the site, is rated at 600 billion shillings. Enough money to build 100 primary health facilities at the rate of about 550 million shillings each. We have heard about the financing of luxurious lifestyles of people in position of responsibility. We also know of the huge administrative expenditure that our country is faced with. A big wage bill for a huge parliament. And it's our people who have to pay through the nose. This must stop. We are also faced with the menace of theft. People stealing directly from what should be going to serve the people of this country. It's because of those reasons that our business people, the farmers that eke a living, are having to pay huge taxes. There is also waste that is manifested from projects like the one I have cited. You find Pinetti, I don't know, a citizen of Italy, being treated in a certain manner, being given such huge amounts of money. Some of this money being borrowed money. And that is an area where we, as the FDC, are calling on government to wake up. Today, the debt GDP ratio stands tall at 53% as projected. The debt burden on the people of Uganda is now going beyond 89 trillion shillings. And yet we still think we have a government to talk about. Therefore, as the FDC, our call to the government and the Uganda Revenue Authority is to engage stakeholders so that the plight of our traders and businessmen is attended to. There's an harsh tax enforcement mechanism put in place by the government, which has increased the tax base when URA annually collects 31 trillion from Ugandans. FDC is concerned about the indiscipline in borrowing. You borrow money and it lies idle somewhere instead of being put to proper use. You borrow money and it ends up in pockets of individuals instead of being used for the welfare or well-being of the people of this country. You borrow money to service opulent lives, styles of privileged individuals of this country at the expense of the citizens who are the taxpayers in this country. We cannot service such loans, and we are also concerned with the wastage of taxpayers' money. If the money collected from Ugandans was put to better use, Uganda would be a better country to live in. And we as the FDC have consistently made this promise to the Ugandan citizens that if we were in power, we would serve their interests better than the crooks that are in power today. And therefore, I must say that if this kind of mistreatment continues, the FDC as a party will not hesitate to join the traders and the farmers of this country, not just by talking, but in the actions that we shall be announcing later. Today, we are making a wake-up call to the government of Uganda to treat Ugandans fairly, whether they are in the business sector or in the agricultural sector.